hello and welcome back to my channel. So today we are sewing. We are sewing a whole bunch of scrunchies. If you saw in my last video, you would have seen that I cut up a whole bunch of fabric, and the reason I did that was because I am trying to clearance out some of these fabrics. Not everything that I'm going to be sewing today will be on clearance, but I want to try and cycle out some of the fabric that I've had for a while, or fabric that I don't have much left of. So I'm gonna try and clearance some of it out, bring in some new fabrics and things like that. I also have some new products coming out, but yeah, so today's plan is to try and sew as much of this as I can. I'm not quite sure how many pieces I have here. If I had to guess, I would say there is probably around 100, maybe not quite, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, so that's today's plan, is to try and get through as much of this as I can. It is 9:30 in the morning. I have about 4 or 5 hours that I can dedicate to this, so fingers crossed I can get most of this done, if not all of it. I would like to at least get to finish seam stage. If I can't, then that's fine, but yeah, I would like to try and get majority of this done. I want to try and get the photos that I need for the new products done, and this, I want to get the clearance up by this weekend. I have a whole bunch of labels already made. I don't think I'll have enough to get through all of this, so I might have to stop and make some more labels, but we'll see how we go. I have a whole bunch of bobbins ready to go, new cotton, and yes, I think we're pretty much on track. I don't have any elastic cut yet, but that's fine. Like, it takes like 2 seconds to cut the elastic. But yeah, let's get into this. Fingers crossed I can get majority of this done. I haven't done a big block of sewing like this before, or not for a really long time anyway. I kind of just make things as they get ordered, but for the clearance, I just want to have it there ready to go, and hopefully I can get rid of most of it that I need to. Yeah, so just some comfy clothes on. Hopefully the chair holds up. It is just a Kmart chair, so who knows how comfortable that will actually be for about 4 hours of sewing. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, I ended up just getting a stool to put the fabric on so I can have a bit more room on the table. Okay, so I'm about halfway done with putting the labels in now, and I have run out of labels. So I'm just going to quickly make some more labels and finish off putting all the labels in, and then I'll come back when I start putting the scrunchies into tubes. Yeah, so far so good. It hasn't really taken me that long. Of course, putting labels in is a little bit fiddly, just because you got to kind of stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. Whereas if you didn't have labels, you could just like sew straight. But yeah, so it's a little bit fiddly. It's not too bad though. And yeah, so I think I'm making good headway so far. Anyway, I am going to make some more labels now. So I've finished what I could finish for now. I do still have a few scrunchies left to put the labels in, but they are either satin or dark fabrics. So rather than switch out my needle or my cotton, I am going to turn these into tubes before I finish off what I've got left in the basket. Like I said, it's satin or darker fabric, so I either use black or I'll need a different needle. So yeah, I'm just gonna go have a quick little break, have something to eat, and then I'm going to turn that pile into scrunchy tubes, and then I'll put the elastic in and either do the finishing seam, or I might just switch over to the different needle or the different cotton and finish off the rest of them, and then come back to the finishing seam later, because I'm not even sure if I'll get everything done today before I need to go out. But yeah, that's the plan so far. Okay, I'm back from a little break. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut all of these apart, and then what I like to do is just double check the labels. So I just simply like pull them apart and make sure the label is in straight. And yeah, I like to do that before I start sewing, so I don't even know where an end piece is here. So another reason why I am clearancing out a whole bunch of these is because the fabric, I used to make my scrunchies a little bit smaller. I've extended them a tiny little bit now, just so they're a bit fluffier for the regular size, and that I can fit a tiny little bit more elastic in there. I've only extended my elastic a tiny little bit as well. But yeah, I just found making them that tiny little bit bigger made all the difference with how fluffy they were. So for example, this is the size that I use now. And this was my previous size. So I have added a little bit more. It hasn't changed the price to any of my scrunchies or anything like that. I just try to only buy when fabric's on sale, just so I can keep it cheaper for everyone, because I know we're all struggling, but we all want to also have nice hair and nice hair accessories. So okay, so I just need to change out my bobbin. This one is all run out. Thankfully, I already had some bobbins wound up with the white, so we can keep going without having to stop for too long. Okay, so we are pretty much done with sewing the tubes. I have this pile here and then this pile over here, and I still have some of the darker fabrics that I need to sew into tubes, but I'm going to flip these ones and put the elastic in now. Okay, so I have my elastic cut. I'm going to take my glue and my turning spoon, and I think I'm going to head to the lounge room. Okay, so I've moved to my lounge room so I can be a bit more comfortable while I flip all these tubes and thread the elastic. So I have all my alligator clips here, so I just use these to clamp down the glue. As you know, my glue takes forever to dry. I've said it a million times. But yeah, so I glue them for the first step, and then I go back and I sew over them. It just makes it easier to put the elastic underneath the foot of the sewing machine. Sometimes when I'm sewing, I go a little bit ham on the sewing part of it, and I don't quite leave a big enough gap. I try to make the gap as small as possible, and then I do my stitching really small for the final seam, just because, like, who wants to see thread on the outside of their scrunchies? But obviously you have to, because you have to be able to close them somehow. So yeah, I try to make them as small as possible. Sometimes I go a little bit too small in order to be able to flip them. So sometimes you might see me struggle to kind of pull it through, and it's because the hole's small. It's mostly when you get to flipping the label out, just because the label's, you know, a little bit thicker and the hole's a bit smaller. And yeah, so that might be why sometimes you see me struggle a little bit. Okay, so I have just finished flipping all the scrunchie tubes. So we have a whole bunch here that need the elastic put in them. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I have my basket of elastics here, and yeah, I'm just gonna sit back and watch some more telly while I put the elastic in. I've just finished threading all the elastics, so now I am just going to start sewing the elastics and then the final seams. But before I go back to the sewing room, here's Brooklyn. This is her absolute favorite spot. Excuse my dirty windows, but when I open this curtain here in the lounge room, she just lays here. It's very dark. But she loves it, don't you, girl? Hey? You love it, don't you? Yes, you do. Yes, you. Oh, is that right? Is it? Is that right? Is it? You want some belly scratches, hey? You want some belly scratches? Yeah. Okay, I got work to do. I got work to do. You're distracting me. Yes, you are. So we are back in the sewing room, and we are working on sewing in the elastics, or sewing down the elastics, and doing the final seams. Down to the final scrunchie. So just doing the last final seam, and then all I have left to do is cut all the threads. Okay guys, so I have finished sewing all the final seams now. I still have the threads to cut, but like I'm not going to cut them on here because how boring would it be to just watch me cut threads. Anyway, so I ended up sewing for about 6 hours with a couple of breaks for some food and drink in between. My appointment ended up getting cancelled for today, so yeah, I just pushed through and got everything done that I needed to do. Like I said, I still have the threads to cut, but you know, I can do that later. So I'm going to tally up how many scrunchies I made in 6 hours. But before I tell you, make sure you drop down into those comments and let me know how many scrunchies you think I made in 6 hours and see how close you are to guessing. I actually don't know myself. I was going to start counting while I was doing it, so I kind of had a bit of an idea, but you just can't, like, you might get to like 10 and then you like lose count because you're just like so concentrated on the tasks you have. But yeah, so I'm going to count these and I'll let you know once I'm all done how many scrunchies I made in 6 hours. Alrighty, so I have counted all of the scrunchies. I've got a few baskets going on here. I had ended up cutting a few threads as I was going and then I gave up. So yeah, I have counted, and in 6 hours we managed to make 93 scrunchies. I don't know if that's good or bad. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've done a challenge like this, and like I said, I did take a couple of breaks for some snacks and breakfast, lunch, whatever you want to call it. And obviously I stopped to play with Brooklyn for a few times, and I had a couple of drink breaks as well. But yeah, so I ended up making 93 scrunchies, which I'm pretty happy with. I got everything done that I needed to get done. I had to change out bobbins and cotton. So yeah, let me know if that's the number you guys came up with. I'm very intrigued to find out. Yeah, I probably, like, definitely going with the larger fabric. Like, I'm so glad that I am switching to this longer fabric now because it is a lot quicker to sew. It's a lot less fiddly. You can just go like hard at it, and yeah, so if they were all this size, I reckon I probably could have made a few more, but pretty happy with what I got done today. So yeah, I got to take a few photos and everything, get this ready for the weekend for some of the clearance stuff and some of the new listings. But yeah, if you liked this video and you want to see more like it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below. It really helps support my channel and also lets me know the kinds of videos you guys like to see. Bye for now, and I'll see you in the next one.